Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
Brought to you by GlanbiaConnect.com.
Hello and welcome to Farmview. Well, as usual, it's Kieran O'Connor here with your weekly farming programme. Once again, I have a very busy show for you. This week on this week's programme, we'll hear from Bord Bia how over 90% of Irish agri-food companies rank COVID-19 as their highest priority risk. I'll also have an update on Glanbia Ireland's very successful gluten-free oats and indeed look at their harvest and the success of their business. Plus, we'll hear how SOBAC can improve soil nutrition and indeed help with soil fertility. And plus, as always, we'll have our farming calendar.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com, Ireland's biggest online farming shop and more.
Well, COVID-19 has been ranked as the highest priority risk facing the agri-food sector, and that's according to Bord Bia's Risk Readiness Radar. To tell us all about it is Director of Meat, Food and Beverages at Bord Bia, and that's Pádraig Brennan. Pádraig, welcome to our programme.
Thanks very much, Kieran.
Pádraig, I suppose it's not a surprise in one sense, but many people then might be taking it back that's the big fear within the food industry in Ireland is the whole COVID experience and impact.
Absolutely, sure. I think it's front of mind for everybody, whether you're in business or just personally, really, over the last 5 or 6 months, obviously. And when we went to companies with this piece of work, it was during that late March to late April period. So obviously in the complete eye of the storm, I suppose, when it comes to the COVID side of things. And really, I think what you saw was, in terms of a little bit of variation across companies that we spoke to, the larger companies probably felt that obviously while it was a massive challenge to them, they had kind of risk management systems in place already and felt they were a little bit more prepared for something like this, whereas the smaller companies found it a real struggle to try and get their businesses prepared and work their businesses through the challenge of losing food service, the challenge of trying to change product formats, trying to keep supply chains moving, things like that. So you had 9 out of 10 companies that risked or that took COVID as top risk, if you like, facing their business, all right.
And obviously Brexit has been front and central. The whole Brexit scenario and the impact particularly of the beef industry in Ireland was front and central. So a lot of companies, as you say, had a bit in readiness as regards their preparation for post-Brexit.
Yeah, and I think again something like 9 out of 10 companies would say they've made progress in terms of preparing their plans, if you like, for Brexit over the last year, whether that's from a customs and tariffs point of view or kind of mapping their supply chain to see what they would need to change in the event of whatever trade agreement comes down. If it's a harder version of a trade agreement that comes down to track what they would need to change and how they would need to change it. So I think there was nearly a sense coming across in the work that we did, Kieran, that the preparation is in place. What's important now is to keep abreast, I suppose, of developments over the next couple of months and review and adjust then as necessary, I suppose. But one interesting thing coming out of the work, and I suppose it shouldn't be a surprise really, was still companies are really attached to the UK market. And even, I think something like 4 out of 10 of them would say they increased their sales to the UK in the last 12 months. And nearly 6 out of 10 feel they could increase their sales in the next 12 months. So I think there's obviously a little bit of optimism there in a hope, if you like, that something maybe sensible will come through in time in terms of the trade agreement. But certainly that attachment and that importance of the UK market is still coming through loud and clear. And
as regards number of companies within that whole, let's say, the undertaking that you had as regards the whole survey, type of number of companies involved, and was there a cross between food, drink and horticulture? Was it mainly food companies you're talking to?
No, absolutely fair question. We had 128 companies in total, Kieran, and between them, those 128 companies would account for 50% of food, drink and horticulture exports. So spread right across every sector that we have in terms of meat, dairy, horticulture, etc. like that. So a good cross-section, I suppose, within each of those really, Kieran, as well, and a mix of company sizes. So some of the really large companies that we'd all be familiar with, and then a number as well who would be in the small to medium-sized category. So we'd like to think a decent cross-section.
Obviously, Origin Green has been a huge success globally, and indeed the high respect that it has across the whole spectrum of food and drink industry globally. As regards the whole sustainability one, and I know Bord Bia are doing a lot of work on the ground, how important is that for the future of the industry? Because proving that talking about sustainability is one thing, but actually proving it is totally opposite, and it's so important, isn't it, for the future of the industry, Pádraig?
Well, it is, of course, and I think you look at it even in terms of the findings we found in the work we did was, 8 out of 10 of the companies said they now had a sustainability strategy built into their business. If we'd have spoke to them 2 or 3 years ago, that wouldn't be the case. And somewhere around half of them are saying it certainly is adding a benefit to them in the marketplace to show what they're doing from a sustainability point of view, and they would feel they're getting business on the back of that, or are in a better position to compete for business on the back of that. But when you look internationally, you look at what a lot of the bigger customers are saying again across Europe and further afield. That focus on sustainability and being able to demonstrate not only where you are today, but what you're doing to improve on an ongoing basis is something that's coming through more strongly all the time. Right. So there's more questions being asked, and the need for everybody to be able to show what they're doing and how they're delivering improvement, I suppose, has never been stronger. But I think that gives us here in Ireland an opportunity. As if you look at the farming systems we have in terms of the grass-based system, relatively low in terms of carbon footprint by international standards, very good from a welfare point of view, and obviously that security of supply then as well in terms of a safe, secure supply chain that we can offer. They're all really valuable points that we have to offer, and it's about, for us, Bord Bia, it's about communicating those, and I suppose Origin Green gives us the infrastructure, if you like, whether it's at a farm level through the various schemes are there, or at the companies that are members of the programme. Right. It gives us the facts and figures and proof, if you like, when we're out there talking about Ireland, show, not just talking, not just showing you pictures, there's the facts behind what we have to offer as an industry and what we're doing, if you like, to improve that performance on an ongoing basis.
The farm to fork strategy, obviously, and now with the Greens involved in the government, do you see from a Bord Bia point of view and selling the Irish the notion of that Origin Green from Ireland, the sustainable food basin, do you see this as a plus?
I think when you look at the farm to fork strategy at the moment, it's probably as much a vision as anything else of where they want to take the agri-food industry, if you like, across the European Union. But when you look at the emphasis within that on sustainable production systems, and obviously tied to that then to talk the new Green Deal and all of that coming through, I think that can play into the advantages that we have here in Ireland, but only if we can demonstrate what we're doing and we demonstrate the commitment that is there, because I think everybody will like to be able to talk about this space. The important thing is for us to be able to show the impact that all of the activities that are happening at farm level day in, day out are having an impact, and that put us in the right space that we have different to talk about, because when you go into any market now, everybody will be talking in similar language. We have to be able to differentiate ourselves some way, and I think sustainability and the family farm structure that we have here, and I suppose the history to that is going to be an important part of it, and how we farm and what we can say in terms of what we're doing to improve the environmental performance, protect biodiversity, work from a welfare point of view. They're going to be all really important issues for us to be able to demonstrate what we're doing.
Finally, Pádraig, as regards post-Brexit, obviously a lot of work has gone in with Bord Bia over the last number of years. Brexit has been on the horizon for such a long period at this stage, really. As regards alternative markets and locations for Irish food, how successful have you been, or is it still business in progress?
Well, I think the sector has done a great job in terms of diversifying, and again, even coming out of the findings of the report that we issued, 10 days ago now, 7 out of 10 companies are actively looking to diversify their exports even further. So that ambition remains within the sector, and I think if you even look at the last decade, right, we grew something like by 70% in terms of the overall value of food and drink exports over that 10-year period. Somewhere between 40 and 45% of that growth came from markets outside of Europe. So that was a massive diversification in itself in terms of whether it's Asia, the Middle East, North America, even Africa. They're all regions that have emerged much more strongly over the last 10 years, whether that's from a dairy point of view, even a meat point of view, seafood, etc. So the industry has shown itself very capable of operating in these new markets, but there's a couple of things that they have to get right. And what came out clearly out of the report that we've done there is 3 things they highlighted too, is that they felt for the challenges around diversifying. Number 1, having kind of that network of contacts on the ground. You needed to have that network if you're going to successfully enter a new market. 2, then it was very much about having the market knowledge. How does the market operate? Who's who? What are the requirements? Who you compete against, etc. And then obviously the logistics and cost issue of getting a product maybe a little bit further. So I suppose from a Bord Bia point of view, we're looking at, we've put new offices in place in the likes of Tokyo, in the likes of North Africa, or West Africa, I should say, the Middle East and Singapore over the last number of years. That's getting our people on the ground so we can build that network, we can build the market knowledge and share that with our clients. I think the industry has done a great job up to now, but I think the ambition is there among the industry to go a lot further from a diversification point of view.
Pádraig Brennan, Director of Meat, Food and Beverages at Bord Bia, and well done to you and all involved in Bord Bia's Risk Readiness Radar. Really a fantastic risk assessment of the Irish food and drink sector ever undertaken. Pádraig, thanks for taking our call, and I'm sure we'll talk to you in the near future. Thanks, Pádraig.
Thank you, Kieran. Thank you.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.
And you're welcome back to part 2 of Farmview. Now, before I have an update on Glanbia Ireland's gluten-free oat business, let's have a look at some items from our farming calendar. Turning to our farmer markets and country markets with a great selection of farm fresh artisan food products available at all these markets. Busy again this week. This Saturday and every Saturday morning, we've Waterford Farmers Market in John Roberts Square, and also on Saturday morning we've Stradbally Farmers Market now trading outdoors in Stradbally every Saturday morning. On Sunday, Lismore Farmers Market, Castle Avenue Lismore running from 10 until 4. Well, great to see the Ardmore Farmers Market back in action, running every Sunday from 11 till 3 just off the beach car park in Ardmore every Sunday. While on Thursdays, Dungarvan Farmers Market, Grattan Square running from 9 until 2. And on Friday mornings then we have Dungarvan Country Markets at the Causeway Tennis Club and Abbeyside running from 9 till 1:30. And also on Friday mornings we've Waterford Country Markets in St Olave's Hall running from 9 until 1. Turning to our marts, this Saturday we have Cattle and Calf Sale, Waterford Ross Mart in New Ross running from 10. While on Monday mornings, of course, we have Cattle and Calf Sales every Monday morning running from 11 in Dungarvan. And also remember that all Mart sales are now online at livestocklive.com with bids taken from both ringside and online as well. Turning to our show jumping, Shannakill House at Quentin Centre Kilmac, well, their horse and pony leagues continue with pony leagues every Friday from 5, while they have their horse leagues running every Wednesday also from 5. While in West Waterford, Beachfield Equestrian Centre and Kappa, their horse and pony leagues also continue every Saturday morning from 10 and on Thursday evenings from 5. Now also for horse lovers, Dungarvan Foxhound have organised a novel event on Bank Holiday Monday next. Takes place at 1 o'clock. It's called Clear Round Cross Country Schooling. The event will take place on the lands of Franmang and Mount Mellery, Cappoquin. 2 course options, 1 course for beginners, 2nd course for more advanced riders with variety of fences and banks. And also on Monday, a special happy hack. So best of luck to all involved in this novel event on Bank Holiday Monday in Mount Mellery.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.
Well, one area of growth within the food industry over the last number of years has been the whole area of gluten-free. Well, Glanbia Ireland set up a gluten-free oaten plant in Portlaoise, would you believe, 8 years ago. And to find out how well this project has gone, indeed how well this year's oat harvest has gone, we're joined from Glanbia Ireland by their Grain Quality Operations Manager, Maria O'Toole. Maria, welcome to our programme.
Hi Kieran, how are you?
Maria, first of all, the whole area of gluten-free, there's been huge interest in the whole gluten-free area, huge growth in that area, but Glanbia Ireland got involved 8 years ago. You might give us the background of how you got involved and how well it has developed over that 8 years.
Yeah, it was something that started on a trial basis for year 1 and even year 2, where we decided to explore the option of growing gluten-free oats. We were quite naive in the beginning, I suppose, and we've had a lot of learnings along the way. But thankfully, we've evolved and grown the industry, and demand has been very big for the product. We are now at a stage where we've gone from a trial of 300 acres to over 3,000 acres. So we'd be very happy with that.
As regards the market, was it mainly the export market initially, or is it still that way?
It would primarily be an export market because it's a business-to-business. The oats are used mostly as an ingredient in another product. So a lot of cereal bars or breakfast cereal bars, an option in baking also as well. So it's usually an ingredient that it's used for. And some markets have been that they have just taken the product and put it on the shelf as a porridge.
And that's Glanbia Nutrition's range of products you're talking about?
Yes, yeah, they've been on board to give us, I suppose they have had the experience of dealing with these markets, and they used our product then as an ingredient to sell and to put on the market then in other countries. Now,
as we speak, of course, the winter oat harvest is up and running. How well is it going indeed? What's the split between winter and spring oats for Glanbia Ireland?
Well, for this year, just the way the last autumn panned out, unfortunately we didn't get the acres that we would have liked to have got in the ground, because we would prefer to have a bigger winter oat harvest, just because it would suit the harvesting time. You'd have longer days and you tend to get through the work a lot quicker. That in mind, we ended up with a 1/3, 2/3 split. 2/3 of it is actually sown in the spring, which is okay, but it's just, it can mean, depending on the year and the harvest, it could be a late harvest, which can have its own issues if it's left too late.
Now, the whole area of gluten-free, of course, from literally the sowing of the crop right through to the production, and I've seen the plant up in Portlaoise. Obviously, very high quality standards, and very, very important for me from the point of view from harvest. Indeed, you were speaking before we came here about the special combines you have that cut gluten-free oaten products only.
That's right, yeah. Well, we obviously have full traceability right back to the seed. We manage each step then of our supply chain along the way to ensure that there's no risk of any contamination. And we're at that final step at the moment where we're harvesting the crop. So while we've done everything right up to now, the last thing we want to do is do something that might jeopardise that. So we have dedicated machinery. Those machines don't do anything else. They just harvest gluten-free oats. We have 2 brand new combines this year and 1 combine that would have been new last year.
Right, so
those combines are parked up after the harvest.
I see.
3 combines, yep.
And the area covered for your growers, I know Glanbia covers all of Leinster and the South East Munster and right up to County Monaghan and County Cavan. As regards the acreage for oaten growers, what areas are you covering roughly?
This year we've actually expanded, so we've moved further south and further north. So we're down right into Waterford this year, Tipperary and South Kilkenny, right across then to Offaly and up into Meath. So we have a big catchment area, and our central location is as high where we assemble the oats. So we're all the time trying to think of the network from there.
Okay.
We're open to any acreage in the vicinity because we are aware that oats is a 1 in 4 year rotation crop, so it's not always going to be available on every farm every year.
So
we're going to have to
look for new growers. Sorry, Maria, as regards new growers, obviously it has to be fresh ground, be it from maize, bean, peas, whatever. And secondly, what type of acreage would a guy want to do in an area before he could become involved? I'm sure a lot of our listeners might be looking at the potential of added value of growing gluten-free oats.
Yeah, it is after a break crop, so any crop other than wheat or barley, and the ground would want to be more or less free from wild oats. Acreage-wise, we would have said 20 acres, but if we're going into an area that's further south or further east or west, away from where our central location is, we would look at the option of possibly grouping growers together, that we could get an acreage, a good volume in an area, which would justify going into that area.
With the combine and with the supports.
We'd plan.
Yeah. So as you say, you really handhold the grower from seed right through to the harvesting and right through to the final stages of production. So once again, I'm delighted to hear it's going so well. Obviously the drought had a big impact and you're seeing that, I'm sure, with yields with the winter crop, and I'm sure the spring oats will be equally affected. So thankfully your acreage has gone up to counteract that.
Absolutely, and it's a bit of, it depends where the ground is. Like in drier ground it has affected the yield, and in heavier ground or ground that would have got rain when others didn't, that's doing okay. Quality has held its own. It's very, very good, and the early indications and the early results are that it's doing really well at the moment from quality point of view.
Maria O'Toole, Grain Quality Operations Manager. As always, Maria, thanks for taking our call, and best of luck to you all involved with Glanbia Ireland's gluten-free oating scheme. Delighted it's working so well, and I'm sure that there'll be a certain amount of growers down here in the South East only willing to get on board for the 2021 harvest. Maria, thanks for taking our call. We'll talk to you in the near future.
Thanks, Kieran. Great to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Well, the whole area of soil nutrition has become so important in farming, particularly with the whole emphasis on the farm to fork and the greening, and indeed the whole area of sustainability and biodiversity. So soil, indeed soil management is part and parcel of that whole area. Well, one company which has been set up in Ireland over the past year has been Soil.ie, and to tell us all about it, we're joined by one of the founders of Soil.ie, Tom Stapleton. Tom, welcome to our programme.
Kieran, how are you doing? Thanks very much, and hello to your listeners.
Tom, as regards soil, as I mentioned in the intro, it's such an important factor of everything we do in Ireland and indeed across the globe. But Soil.ie, why did you decide to set it up, and what are you all about?
We're all about soil health. The reason we set it up, we're here advising farmers about soil health for the last 9 years. We distribute products from SOBAC in France, in a place called Aveyron, and we're 9 years here working in partnership with farmers, helping them to build soil fertility. So this year we launched our website Soil.ie after a number of years working with farmers, working with breeders, working in the sports turf industry as well.
Okay, so as regards what do you do, what's different between the standard fertiliser program that guys have been doing? Guys normally get their soil tested and then use the appropriate NP and K and the lime, help the nutrition of their soil. So what's so different about Soil.ie?
Our products are soil amendments. So what we're doing is we're essentially making the organic matter available within the soil structure. So it unlocks the potential of what's already there. I suppose one of the big components of what Curacol and Bacteria do is it helps to improve the root depth and the root structure of your grasses or your crops or whatever you're growing. So what we're typically seeing then is in a scenario where we have drought and with unpredictable weather patterns which we've had in the last number of years, fields are more drought resistant because because they have the root systems growing deeper down to get access to that moisture. And also then, equally having root systems growing deep down, we have land that's draining easier, either going in or coming out of the winter period when we have wet weather. And just in terms of farmland, I suppose the unpredictable weather patterns that we've had, I suppose it's been challenging year for farmers, and that with growth. And I suppose what we're typically seeing on people that are using our process is that they're seeing a big difference in fields that are treated versus fields that are not treated. It's a selection of microorganisms, mycorrhiza funguses that help to, I suppose, decompose organic matter and convert that to humus, which is the natural storage capacity of the soil structure. Your root systems will grow down deep enough into the humus layer to get access, and the humus layer acts like a pantry or a storage capacity for the elements of the soil or the mineral elements of the soil structure.
As regards, we'd say, the standard fertiliser programs guys would use, is this to supplement that or is this to replace that?
No, certainly not to replace it, because soil is, it's chemistry, physics and biology. But we do need to go away from farming in the top 2 or 3 inches. A lot of the problems, I suppose, that I would see on farms would be that the root systems aren't growing deep enough. They're starting to grow sideways, and that. What we're doing is we're working, in the biological aspect of the soil, conditioning the soil. So typically, we go away from farming in the top 2 or 3 inches, and we negate against those the drought, and fields recover quicker. So typically, a farmer that would enter into our program, they would spread either the SOBAC bacterisol, which is a granular form, or they would spread the bacterilite, which is a powder that can be put into slurry and dung. And when they spread that, they would put no chemical 10 days either side of it, and then they can go out with their nitrogen. People who are using SOBAC, they reduce their nitrogen within the first year by 30%. It's not because the plant is getting less nitrogen, it's just utilising what we're put out.
And what type of response are you getting? I know you said you're involved in sports stuff, but from the farmers, be it dairy, beef, livestock farmers, indeed tillage farmers as well, what type of response are you getting, and have you been dealing down here in the southeast much?
Yeah, we are. I'm actually in Cork here at the moment, just after visiting 2 farmers. So I'm pulled in at the side of the road just chatting to you. But I suppose one thing that we're seeing from farmers is they're maintaining their yields with us. There's an improvement in the quality of the forage, so macronutrients, crude protein in the grass. So we're improving the quality on farm of the primary forage that the animals are eating. So typically what farmers are saying to us, the cows are grazing out paddocks better, cleaning out the paddocks a bit better, maybe an extra period in a paddock graze out. But I suppose how to quantify that, it's very important to test the grass. So you don't have to do your whole farm with SOBAC or with soil.ie. You do 10, 15 acres and then measure it by soil tests, grass analysis, and typically what we're seeing is an improvement then.
Are you saying then, Tom, a guy goes in, let's say, try a 10-acre area and then work from there? Yeah. And is it just one spread a year, or does this have to be repeated a few times in the year?
Yeah, it's one application, one annual application per year, and the best way to do it is not to blanket spread the whole farm, is to do 5 or 10 acres and then compare the results.
Obviously, as I said, Tom, what's very important there as well, of course, is the soil test. I know guys, and we've had guys on from Teagasc, and even speaking to Carl Summers recently about the whole water table around here. Getting the soil tested is paramount. So if guys want to find out more, because it's a very interesting one, I know you've been involved with Tramore Racecourse and some GA pitches down here in the southeast as well, and have had great success. Yeah. If guys want more information, Tom, how would they find out more?
They'll be able to log on to soil.ie or SOBAC.fr, and they'll find out all they want about bacteria and bacterisol. There's some testimonies there from Irish farmers that they can see. Some of them might know because they're local farmers to you there, and they'll be able to find out all the information there. There's a few YouTube videos and stuff, and our information is on that website. They just drop us an email and we'll contact.
Well, Tom, I must say it's very interesting. I've looked up your website, and indeed a lot of information there. It's a whole new area for guys to look at. It's soil.ie, indeed SOBAC, and you can look up as well as regards getting more information. Tom Stapleton, one of the founders of soil.ie. The best luck to you, Tom. It's a very interesting one, and it's an area I think guys will be more and more interested in going forward. Tom Stapleton, thanks for talking to us.
Kieran, thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
Well, that's my lot for this week's programme. Once again, my thanks to Sean and Ollie for all their help in putting this week's programme together. So from myself, Kieran O'Connor, goodbye for now, but hopefully I'll have your company again same time next week.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.